Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Enrique Eddy, and yes, we are back again with another vlog style video in the neighborhood. And for today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about a topic that I've never covered on this channel. It's brand new type of content that I'm going to be making in the future. I'm very excited for it, and I know you will be, and it all starts with today's video. As you already read the title, you know that for today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about what you need to know about girls. Now, there are many things that you need to know about girls. Before today's video, I'm talking to you about one of the first and most essential things that you need to know about girls. So what you need to understand about girls is that just like us guys, they have objectives and you need to identify what they are. Now, I'm going to explain this to you and think about it this way, okay? You as a guy, when you see a girl that you're interested in, it's usually because you're attracted to her, right? And I say usually because sometimes you might just be interested in her, not in a romantic kind of way, right? Let's say that she's going to help you in your work. She's going to lend you money. She's going to give you a contact. She's going to introduce you to somebody, right? You could still develop some kind of relationship. You could still have sex in that way. But that's not the main thing, right? So if that's not the case, you're usually interested in a girl because you're attracted to her. There's something about her that attracts you. Could be her face, could be her voice, could be her body. As cliche as that sounds, her personality as well, right? But the point is that there's something that attracts you to that girl. And you also have an objective, right? Do you want to get to know this girl well so you can potentially develop a relationship? Do you want to make it casual? Do you want to have a one-night stand, right? And just like us guys, that's the process that girls have. So what I just said, reverse it, right? And this time, think about the girl. That's the way the girl does it, right? So a girl, whenever she meets you, she's always going to have some kind of objective. So that is the concept. And now, it's very important that you understand this concept because by doing so, you're potentially saving yourself money, time, and energy and effort. Now, I'm going to give you two scenarios so that you can understand what I mean when you save time, money, and effort. So the first scenario is the following, right? Let's say you meet a girl at the mall, right? You hit it off, you start talking, right? You set up a date, right? Or just to hang out, whatever. You hang out, right? Everything goes well. You might potentially hook up with her the first time, right? Then the second time you might potentially have sex, right? And then so on. You keep meeting her, and let's say at this point you've met her 3 times, okay? So everything might seem like it's going well for you, right? But at this point, you've already invested money, right? Because in one of the dates, let's say maybe you bought her food, you bought her Starbucks, you've definitely already invested a lot of time, and you've definitely invested a lot of energy and effort. And here you are, feeling good, right? Feeling like you're accomplishing something, like you're getting a girl. Well, that's good, right? That's already an advancement, right? That's already far away from rejection, right? However, the problem lies in you not knowing what her objectives are, right? Because let's say you are here thinking, right, that everything is going well and that you're going to potentially develop a relationship with this girl, right? But in her eyes, in her mind, those are not her objectives, right? She is only using you as a hookup, right? That's only the objective that she wants, right? So you're only wasting time, you're only wasting money, and you're only wasting effort with her, right? Now, picture the second scenario, right? Basically the exact same thing. However, obviously, like I said, right, you first hang out, right, you hook up, you have sex, whatever, you keep doing that. But ever since the beginning, you make your intentions and your objectives clear. You say, hey, you know what, I just want a relationship, you know, or hey, you know what, I'm just looking for a hookup, whatever. And you get to know her objectives. And now this is the tricky part, right? Because a lot of times girls are not going to be very direct. They're not, right? They're not going to be direct. Now, if you're really lucky and the girl's very direct with you, she says, hey, look, you know, I'm not looking for hookups, you know, I'm looking for something serious or whatever. Sometimes it might not be what you want to hear, but it's definitely what you need to hear. Because she is being considerate of you on her own by telling you this, because she is saving you the effort, the money, the time that you would invest in her, which wouldn't even be an investment. In this case, it would be a waste by telling you these things, okay? However, like I said, most of the times this won't be the case. Most of the times, because girls won't be this direct, you're going to have to find out a few things on your own. So now I'm going to give you a few tips and a few ideas of how you could find out what her objectives are with you. Now I'm going to be telling you there's some ways that you could potentially identify what her objectives are. So the first ways are by place that you met her. Number one, supposing that you met this girl at a party, right? Most of the time, 8 out of 10 times, her objective is simply a one-night stand, right? One time and that's it. You probably won't even see her again. Now, why is this? Think about it, okay? Analyze. what do people do when they go to parties? Why do people go to parties? They go to parties to have fun, right? To relax, to vibe some music, to have a good time, right? Might be drinking, might be doing drugs, and yeah, potentially having sex, right? Another fun thing to do. They go to someone's room, they go to the basement, and whatever, okay? So, knowing all this, and you know that a lot of people there are going to be drunk or going to be on drugs or whatever, I definitely don't advise you to have sex with someone who's either drunk or on drugs. That could lead you to getting into many problems, right? However, most of these people, like I said, they're there to have fun and they're chilling and they're vibing, right? So, like I said, sex is the way to have fun. And when you're in that mood, you're not thinking about a connection. Most of the times, you don't even get to know the person well. You simply talk with them, let's say, for like 5 minutes, and then the vibe is right, you go and you do it, right? So, most of the times, in this case, you're only looking at a potential one-night stand, right? So, the second place, supposing that you met this girl on a dating app, right? Let's say Tinder, let's say Bumble, whatever it was, you could potentially have 3 possibilities: relationship, something casual, or a hookup. Now, a one-night stand, So, a one-night stand, right? Let's say you just meet the girl, right? You exchange a few messages, right? And you could either set it up by text and you simply meet at someone's place, or you actually go out, somewhat like a date, right? You go out, you hang out, you have fun, you talk, and then at the end of the night, at the end of the day, you go back to someone's place, or maybe you originally hung out at someone's place, right? That's how it works, and then boom, you never get to hear from them again, okay? That is somewhat common in some ways. It's obviously not that safe if you're just going to someone's house like that, but that's still a possibility. Now, the second one, being something casual, usually you talk a little bit, you set the date or you set the hangout, whatever. You see, obviously, you get to know them, you meet them in person, you see if the vibe is right? And then depending on how it is and stuff, at the end of the night, you might also go back to their house. She might come to your place or whatever it is. And then boom, it's set, And then depending on the vibe, depending on the stuff, she might call you back, you might call her and you say, you know what, hey, next week, 5 p.m., come over or whatever. And then boom, that's how it's set, right? And then after some time, after this and that, after setting it up, you might be looking at something casual, which obviously at the end of the day, even if it's casual, it usually doesn't even last that long. But that's what you're looking at, right? Now, as for a relationship, you're usually never going to have a good quality relationship from a dating app, okay? You could still find a high value woman, right? A high value girl on a dating app, but that's usually very rarely the case, okay? So, now why is this? Okay, you gotta analyze it. Tinder and Bumble and all these applications, right? They're all places for girls that are filled with insecurities, for girls that are looking for validation, right? A lot of girls on Tinder, a lot of girls on Bumble aren't even looking to have sex, aren't even looking to hook up, even looking for a relationship. They're simply there looking for validation, right? Because what happens? They see that a guy likes her, another guy likes her, right? She starts getting matches, right? And all of a sudden, she starts feeling wanted, she starts feeling desired, right? And that makes her feel good, right? That takes her away from the insecurities, right? And another thing to keep in mind, a lot of these girls on Tinder that you see, right, they're all just partying, they're all drinking, right? They're all sometimes doing weed. That's all the pictures that they have, right? And most of them are low value girls. So if you're expecting a relationship out of Tinder, out of fucking Bumble, you're not going to get far, You're going to get one, sure you could, but it's never going to be a high value one. I apologize that I was shaking and that my voice wasn't good. It's just that I'm feeling a bit cold. As you saw, I just zipped up my jacket. It rained a few hours ago and there were some dogs there barking, so I was like, oh. But now I'm going to be giving you a few signs that you could use to potentially identify what her objectives are. So the first one is that if her friends are thoughts, right, girls that are very easy, 9 out of 10 times the girl's going to be a thought, okay? The closest people that you surround yourself with say the most about you, right? They can mold who you become. If you hang around losers with no ambitions, no objectives in their life, guess what? You're going to become the next one, okay? So if her friends are thoughts, yeah, most of the times she's going to be a thought. Now, the next one, this is when you hang out with her. If she's being very touchy, right, both with you and herself, most of the time this is a good sign that she wants to sleep with you. Now, being touchy with you, right, she's finding any kind of excuse to touch you, right? Like she touches your chest, oh my god, you're so funny, oh stop, she grabs your hand when you're crossing the street, whatever it may be. Being touchy with her, she's doing this with her lips, right? She's licking, she's biting her lips, she's playing a lot with her hair, she's playing with her jacket. If she has a jacket, if she has a sweater, she's opening it up like this, right? She's rubbing her hand on her legs, right? If she's being very touchy, this is usually a sign something, that you could potentially go back home with her, or that she could go back home with you. The third sign is that she is recently single. Now, with girls who are recently single, I call this, this is called the rebound, right? Because they're not well, okay? They're going through the breakup, they're still processing it in their mind, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, all these ways, it's still being processed, okay? So when they go get with you, right, most times, yes, you might be able to sleep with her, but you know what? It's never something good, because it's always the rebound, okay? It's not something good. So with this, you could potentially, just be having a casual thing with her for a while, a little bit, nothing long. Or you could just be having a one-night stand, okay? But like I said, this is never something healthy, because the girl is going through something and she's using you as a source to go through it, right? Using you as a rebound. The fourth thing is if she asks you a lot of questions, okay? Now, what I mean by a lot of questions. Firstly, I mean that she's asking you questions. And secondly, I mean that she's asking you high-value questions, okay? So, not questions like, oh, what's your favorite color? Oh, what's your favorite food? No, not that bullshit. If she's asking you things like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What makes you the most grateful? What has inspired you to take action or to embark upon this journey? If she's asking you genuinely high value questions to get to know you, it's because she's interested in you. A lot of times she might want to take it slow. Maybe that's not always the case, but she is interested in you. And this is usually a good sign that you're talking to a higher value girl, which leads me into my fifth sign, that she is a high value girl, right? And this can be shown in many aspects, right? If she respects herself, right? Physically, if she takes care of herself, right? The way she talks, right? The way she presents herself, what she talks about. There are many ways to talk about this. This would be a whole video on its own. But if she's a high value girl, most of the time, that's a really good sign. And that's also a sign that she's looking for something more serious. Now, if you met this girl at school, most of the time it's either going to be something casual or some kind of relationship. So let me explain. I'm actually around the school right now. Let me explain this, right? Something casual, right? So let's say this girl is a thought, okay? And yeah, she has some kind of reputation of being a thought, right? Well then, yeah, you're next in line, buddy. Congrats, but not really. It's something casual, right? It's nothing long term. If that's what you want, sure. But most of the time, that's what it's going to be. However, it could also be a relationship. But the thing is, high school relationships are either usually one way or the other. Let me explain. So, one way being the very meaningless relationship. Now, this usually happens in this way, right? You get a girl who is going through a lot of things, is packed full of insecurities, right? Is very unaware, she's still very far behind in the aspect of life of figuring out what I want to do, who I am, what makes me powerful, what makes me improve, what makes me a happy person. A girl who's still very far behind in her personal development, right? And you also get a guy who is like that, okay? And then they get together and boom, nothing really happens, right? All they do is fuck, drink, potentially watch some movies, right? Be together, and that's it. It's not a relationship that builds you up, that gives you the inspiration, a girl that pushes you, a girl that supports you. So that's the first kind of relationship that you can have in high school. And the second kind is the better kind, which is the high value kind, the quality relationship. And the best way to have a high quality relationship in high school is to get a girl who's very academic. Now, what I mean by this and why? A girl who's very academic, a girl who's focused on school, a girl who does well in school, and who's really focused on that. That's what I mean. And why is this good, and why is this going to translate into your relationship? Because think, okay, what does that mean? What does it say about her if she's very academic? Sure, her parents might be strict and they push her, but it says that she's driven. It says that she's hardworking. She's working towards something, and she sees long term. She sees it progressive, right? Like this flight of stairs, going up, 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 getting the diploma, high school, going to college, university, and then eventually a good job, okay? And that's how she sees it. And if you find a girl like this, you have a good vibe with her, and you get it with her, right? And you potentially develop some kind of relationship. This is the best one you can have, because with all those qualities that this girl has, she's going to push you, she's going to inspire you, she's going to be there for you, she's going to support you. And that's what you need when you have a high value relationship. A girl who's pushing you up, who's leading you up. Not a girl who's carrying you, right? Don't do that. That's pathetic. But a girl who simply pushes you and inspires you to be better. So that's the second kind of relationship that you can find in high school. And like I said, it's usually very one way or the other. So that's it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you learned something new. Now, like I said, I apologize. I was shaking a lot because I felt cold. I mean, my hands, they were shaking at some point. It rained a lot today. And I know, definitely got things to improve, right? But I really enjoyed making this video. It's a topic that I haven't covered, like I said, but I'm going to start covering. I'm going to start making content. So if you enjoyed it, you're in for a really good treat. So with that said, I'll see you next time.